Hello. Rather unexpectedly, after a horrible travel day, I am. Oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. Sound's working. I'm able to stream with Emmett. We are doing something rather less serious today, although still something. Um, so yeah. Say hello, Emmett.
What's up? Yeah, also, hopefully the sound is working.
Let me check.
It would be unfortunate if not.
Yep,
Hello.
you're on. All right. Hello, Walt. So, we are doing a basically not really a tier list as much as just like a pick your faves Hall of Fame thing from that is in was sent in a source server that I'm in and that I have seen variations of. Um, we especially compared to the tier list that we did earlier this month. This is far from comprehensive and is, at the moment at least, especially much more just kind of vibes based. I'm probably factoring a mixture of gameplay and story slash character into it. Emmett has made it clear, I think, that he's mostly trying to consider story or character, like, writing.
Yeah, I definitely am, because if I was considering gameplay at all, it would just be a completely different list, and I feel like it's not. I feel like it's more objective and also more boring, right?
Yeah. So, that
Like
being said,
if you're like, who is the absolute best Cav in the series? It's like, well, you don't really have that many options.
so that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Alt, you have seen this grid before from me, so please do not spoil. However, some of my choices may have changed or will change as I think through this with Emmett. So, starting with Lord. In my initial draft of this, I actually put... let me... I actually put Hector here.
Fair enough, honestly.
Like no, and I am going to keep to that just because even though I think Dimitri is otherwise extremely close in that respect, for being my favorite Lord in the franchise, I'm just kind of going to go with my gut and how I really enjoy how Hector feels like he is both his own protagonist, but also playing second fiddle in a positive way to Eliwood's story at times, and I'm really okay with that. I enjoy that, and
yeah, no, it's great. It's lovely that he's there to support his friend. I mean, I think that's what makes FE7's story so good in general. It's like it's cohesion of its characters.
Yes. If not Hector, then I would say Dimitri would be my pick because I do think that whatever quibbles you can have about his character writing, not character writing, whatever quibbles you can have about how specifically he undergoes his character development in Azure Moon, I do think he has the most extensive and some of the most interesting. So, up to you.
Yeah, I mean, Dimitri and Three Houses are definitely great characters. All right, well, I will go and reveal mine. I think it's Black Bar number 1. Yep. So I will say Dimitri would have been the funnier pick. I didn't really want to do this right away, but unfortunately the grid is chosen. So yeah, it's Edelgard.
Not surprising.
My absolute favorite is a different character. They're also a lord, so they can't be here. And Edelgard is probably my second favorite character in the franchise. I really like Edelgard. I don't want to get into the discourse too much. It has to do with a lot of things about why I picked Edelgard.
You are cutting out a little bit. Can you talk a little bit quieter? Maybe?
Yeah, I'll try to talk slower. Obviously, as a Three Houses character, her writing just as a character, like as a fully realized, like actual individual, is just phenomenal. Pretty much all the Three House characters are. Personally, I do resonate a lot with the tragedy of the story and of how complex the character is. My reading of the character, I've mentioned this before, has definitely read Adel as like a very suicidal character. She really does not take into account her own safety at all. I mean, I think the scene with Dimitri at the end of Blue Lions essentially, where she basically gets herself killed, is deliberate. Like, I don't think she was trying to win there.
No.
And all of that just contributes to the tragedy, and that's what makes it so interesting, and what makes this character just so like viscerally fascinating and really good to me. I won't get into like, obviously they're flawed. A lot of the three characters, especially the ones that are prominent, have a lot of flaws. And I don't just mean that in like this character is flawed because that's good. I mean that in, the writing is kind of a little bizarre. Like, hello, Crimson Flower, not talking about Twisted at all. Thank you for that. Super cool. Love you very much. So that is what it is. But even in spite of that, I will put Adel here as my favorite lord because my absolute favorite character who is a lord is in a different tile. Mario.
So I'm going to go ahead and say you can go ahead with the next category.
All right. This one might be the same for the two of us because I feel like there's kind of objectively one pick. Like, it's just, oops, that's the wrong one. Like, I mean, sorry. So, Seth, come on. I didn't only pick him for gameplay. I do actually love him as a character. I feel the problem with this, unlike the other classes, is like early pre-promote is not a class. Early pre-promote is kind of an archetype. And that's kind of, this might be the only one I picked for gameplay.
That's fair.
And it's not just, and again, to be clear, it's not just gameplay. I love this man as a character. I think he's an amazing character. He's an amazing unit who basically, like, if you're like, hey, name me an early Fire Emblem pre-promote, it's like, okay, Jagan or Seth. Like, everyone knows Seth. This man is like disgustingly good. He is the definitive early pre-promote. Also, I ship him with Erica. It is a little weird, but it's also super sweet and adorable. And like I said, I don't only like Seth for his badassery. I do also like him as a character. I think he's a great character. He's some great supports with Erica. He has a lot of great story moments. Just good person, good character, everything. Back to you.
Sorry. I got a message from somebody who hasn't messaged me in 7 months, so I was a little distracted. Sorry.
Understandable, honestly.
So I was very close to putting Seth here, and for all the reasons you described, I probably should, because I actually think he is a very good character, very well written, as well as being absurdly dominant in gameplay. However, I would be remiss if I didn't allow just some of my own. I just dig them more to come in. And you can probably guess who this is.
Well, I have a couple guesses, but I was going to say Horny and Titania.
Well, it is Titania, but it is not just because of Horny. Yes, that's a factor.
No, I mean, she's a great character.
I do think she's a really interesting character. I do think if I'm allowing for gameplay, I don't have a big problem with Seth being as like totally dominant as he is, because Sacred Stones is inherently not that difficult of a game, and if you're choosing to let Seth steamroll it, then you're already making an intentional decision about that. But if I am trying to take gameplay into account, I do like that Titania is very dominatingly strong early on and can continue to perform very well in the late game, especially in Path of Radiance. A little less on Radiant Dawn, but still is quite good. But she is not inherently able to just steamroll. And so, but yes, so that's part of it.
Well, in Path of Radiance, I'm less convinced about that. Radiant Dawn, yes, but Path of Radiance, I'm not as convinced that Titania can't just...
Late game, like, some of the late game enemies are really nasty. Like, she's not fighting Ashnard.
Okay, she's not fighting Ashnard on hard, but again, there's like 3 units in the entire game that can.
True.
Like literally, it's Ike, a Royal, Nasir, and then like if you've trained up a super tanky unit, they can like tank him but not die.
Yeah,
what?
And Enna.
Oh well, right, yeah, and well, I think Enna might need to be trained a little, honestly.
She does, yeah, compared to Nasir.
Nasir just does it, yeah. Which is anyway.
I hear you. That being said, that debate aside, Seth, like how Dimitri is extremely close to Hector for me, Seth is extremely close to Titania for me. if you want to say horny one out, then horny one out. But I love Titania.
No,
I think she's
again,
really,
I think she's a great character. I think she's a great character as well. Like I actually think this category was close for a couple, like Seth and Titania. The other two that were close for me are actually would be Dagdar and Marcus. Dagdar is also an interesting character, and he also carries Thracia hard. And Marcus is FE7, specifically FE7 Marcus. FE7 Marcus is insane. To put it in perspective, if you want to like let Marcus do most of FE7, he can. It's not as easy as Seth. It's not as effortless, but FE7 Marcus goes in.
Yeah. So regarding FE6 Marcus, very quickly, I think FE6 Marcus is much more balanced. Like he falls off.
Oh, for sure. No, I love him too.
But yes, anyways, going on to category 3, Cav. Now this is a very large category because there's a lot of Cavalier units. So I kind of went with my gut. There is a little bit of gameplay in this because this character has one neat trick that only 2 other characters in their particular game have that make them very good, among a few other factors.
That hate?
Yes, one neat trick that enemies on Maddening hate. But this character also is just personally one of my very favorites in the series. Perhaps because I see a little too much of myself in him, if I'm flattering myself. Perhaps just because they're part of one of my favorite ships, or if not my favorite. Perhaps because I just think that they're just really well written. But I'm going to go ahead and put Ferdinand von Aegir is my favorite Cavalier. I was
going to say Vengeance. Is it Vengeance? But no, it's actually Swiss Strikes.
It's Swiss Strike, yes. He is gameplay-wise, he is very good. Even though Cavaliers get their speed absolutely butchered in 3 houses, if you have Swiss Strikes, that almost doesn't matter, at least on player phase. In terms of stats, he's basically Sylvain, who is basically Lawrence. Well, no, Lawrence has a little bit more magic nudge than Sylvain, and who has much more than.
And a worse haircut. I mean, come on, look at Ferdinand. He's got these luscious locks.
Yes,
and you're telling me like freaking the helmet bullhead is better? No,
yes,
okay, no shot.
And anyways, yes, gameplay wise, he's extremely strong. And character wise, yes, there's the meme and also Rip Billy comments, but like I just think he is very interesting on a very large number of levels. And
Ferdy's great.
Yeah, I love him. So, who's you?
Oh boy, who did I pick? Well, let me tell you. I've picked another
Hell yeah!
I picked Finn over here.
It's my boy.
So this was like a super competitive one. I originally considered picking like Marcus or Titania. In fact, I had Titania here, but I was like, as I was scrolling through some options, I was like, wait, Finn. I was like, oh shit, that guy's really good. It's not gameplay here actually. Finn is critically important to both genealogy and Thracia, but really for Finn, it is character. He is just phenomenally well-written, interesting character. As one of the few people who survives Gen 1 and Gen 2, that already makes him really interesting. He survives Gen 1 and is sent away from the war early, so he lives, and thus has a role to play in Gen 2. Also because of who he's serving, Leaf, he is in Thracia and has a ton of extra characterization and dialogue and moments in Thracia as well. Just amazing character. His relationship with Lachesis, no matter
Lachesis.
What you, like either pairing them up or not pairing them up, either way is like phenomenal. Letting Finn be a virgin for life does make him a better gameplay unit in Gen 2, but it's neither here nor there. But yeah, no, it's just a really phenomenal unit. I like Finn a lot, and again, it's a super competitive field. Like Oscar and Kieran are great. Kent and Sane are both great if we're not talking pre-promotes. Obviously, 3 Houses has a ton of amazing units. Like Sylvain is great. I actually really like Sylvain a lot. But Finn is just really well done. So I will go with that. And I guess I do another one now.
Yep.
What do we have next? We have Archer. Oh boy, do we have Archer. So there's not a lot of Archers I like. There's not that many of them. And I did think about picking Louise, because I think she's adorable and super interesting and funny. And I didn't really think about picking anyone else, because it's not that I don't use them, because there are some, funny archers. And, 3 Houses has a couple, and Engage has some, and Ronan is funny, and Ryan was amazing in our playthrough. But like, I don't actually like anyone's characters. I find them typically boring. Like the GBA ones, especially, kind of have rough luck.
Yeah,
FE6 has some really good ones. FE7 does not. Like Will and Rebecca are just objectively like here are random villagers, but don't even do anything interesting, which is really unfortunate. FE8 has Nami. I do not like Nami. Inez is good, actually, though. If you're wondering why I mentioned GBA, I actually pick a lot of units from there because I love those games. But no, racist Uncle Shinon he's just such a fucking bastard. This man sucks. Like, he hates his captain, tried to kill his captain at least once, got his ass kicked and was still like, no, you suck, though. Like, this man, everyone hates this man. Why is he?
Yeah.
And for that reason, he's amazing. And Luis is a close second, though.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned it, Inez would be high up for me, as would, I think, Ignatz.
I figured Ignatz would be high up.
Or Ash. However, this is going to be very easy because I don't have to say anything new. Yeah, it's Shinon 2 for me. Ash is very good. I love Ash as a character. Gameplay-wise, he suffers from a lot, but I do love him as a character, but Shinon is such a fucking bastard, but I love him, and I can't really say anything that Emmett has not already said, except I do want to add that I know that there are other games where archers are more consistently useful, but with the exception of like late game Path of Radiance, Shinon is a very, very strong archer. He is.
Oh, but he gets even better in Path of Radiance. No,
No,
I was going to say Radiant Dawn. At least the double bow got buffed to have 1-2 range, which is huge.
So, for clarification, Shinon is quite good in the early game Path of Radiance because his passive makes him basically a taunt tank, and since he is a pre-promote, he has reasonably high stats, even though he's a sniper and doesn't have great defenses, they're still good enough for early game enemies. Once you re-recruit him, he hasn't really caught up, and so he's not worth it in late game Path of Radiance. But Radiant Dawn removes a lot of those problems, and as Emmett said, buffed at least his bow, and so he's actually extremely strong in Radiant Dawn. I would personally argue that late game Shinon is probably maybe the strongest archer in the series.
Ooh, in the series, that's a good question. Probably a contender. Engage actually, I think, has some, because they're very Engage is interesting. It's definitely one of those very lopsided physical magical ones. Plus, you have a ton of skill inherit options. Actually, you know what? No, he's not. It's going to be one of the Shadows of Valentia archers because they get like 5 range and killer bow, killer arts.
That's right.
So it's one. They're disgustingly cracked. Like on every.
All right. So with that being said, we don't have too much new to say. So let's go on to the next category, which is armor units. Now, I had a different unit here. Until Emmett, when we were doing pre-stream discussion, mentioned somebody else, and so I'm going to do my first. I want to do. I feel bad doing the swap out. What?
I said, go with your heart.
I feel bad doing the swap out, but I just feel too strongly that this is how I feel. So I am going to put for my favorite armor knight. Oswin the Boswin. Gameplay wise, he's amazing. Very strong early on, carries himself into the late game very well, given Blazing Blade's preference for giant enemy groups over strong, smaller enemy groups, especially compared to Binding Blade. But I also think that character wise, he is a very interesting sort of mentor, sort of like follower, sort of check, sort of foil to Hector, who gets a lot of chance to really give Hector his own development by bouncing off of Oswin kind of having already had his. And I might be reading a little too much into it, and I'm probably letting gameplay speak a little too much to it, but I think that I just if I'm going with my gut and kind of just thinking what goes to my head, then once I remembered he existed, and I feel badly about that, but I did, to be fair, make this tier list on my phone in the bus on my way to my cousin's wedding last Thursday, so I probably was a little out of it. But
I made mine in the last 20 minutes.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Oh, hi, Exor. I mean, Axel, to be fair, Shamir. I mean, Shamir, I don't have the highest opinion of, but she is an interesting character, so I kind of get that. I'm guessing you would put her high up. But anyway, so Oswin is going to be my Armor Knight. If you're curious, the character I replaced with him was Dedu, who I do think is still a very strong contender. Three Houses is not super friendly to Armor Knights gameplay wise, but I think he's a really interesting character.
Yeah. So I think it's also, before I tell you who my Armor Knight pick is, I will instead tell you something Fume and I both did for this. I don't think we mentioned yet, is we were pretty deliberate about not putting lords in other classes.
Yes.
So obviously for an Armor Knight, this is relevant now because obviously for Armor Knight, I had a hard time picking. There were none that were really outstanding to me. There were plenty I liked, but none that were like, oh my god, I love this unit. But like, for example, Hector counts as an armor, even if not necessarily his FE7 version. His FE6 trial maps version is a general. Honestly, maybe I should have picked Zephiel, but again, like, kind of doesn't really count. So both of us were pretty deliberate about not putting lords in non-lord classes, because otherwise, like, they do, like, lords just get the most screen time, they get the most development. Yeah, so basically that's correct. Lords are only eligible for the lord category or ones later where they can fit in. And I'll tell you, we'll cross that bridges when we get there. But basically, like, yeah, I could pick a lord for like everything, because they tend to be the most developed, most interesting characters. They get a lot of
You're making me rethink a question later, category later, because I may have accidentally kind of put a lord in another category. But we'll have that discussion.
I put a lord in some category, but again,
like you're cutting out.
They're more special. I did put lords in some classes. Like, I'm not doing it for the super basic one. Without further ado, I shall reveal to you my Armor Knight, and it is Lord Wallace. Why is it Wallace? He's funny. That's not the only reason. I think Wallace is very well rounded. He's got a couple really funny supports, and his support with Lynn is really good. It's really good, and mostly I just have a lot. I originally had Black Knight here, and I was like, I like the Black a lot, but a lot of it has to do with how the gameplay integrates with him to make him an effective villain. Like, I don't love the Black Knight as a character per se. I don't find him that interesting in FE10 when he comes up again. But in FE9, like, where he's menacing, he's literally invincible. Like, beating him is like, that just is played up really well. But that's kind of not really about the Black Knight himself. Like, that's more about the gameplay. And honestly, it's also more about Ike and how Ike feels. And so, unfortunately, he has been replaced by Wallace, because that Lynn support is fucking fire.
It's really
also because no one else, like, Gatry's like a joke. Like, Louis' fine, he's a one-trick pony. No one is putting Gilbert on any tier of their favorite list. Like, just no one.
No. I think he is one of the best written characters in the game. But
you think he's your favorite bad dad?
First off, I think he is one of the most interesting characters in the game, but that's another story. Let's move on.
No, I mean, he is well written. Like I said about the tragedies, makes characters so good. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say about Wallace category to pick, and I'm like so mid. So let's move on.
You've cut out quite a bit, but I still hear you.
Yeah, so let's move on and get rid of this black bar. Staffers. Now, if you've been paying attention to me for time, you probably expected someone else here. And you would be wrong. Because that person is on my tier list, because I talk about them a lot, and I won't stop yapping about them. But there was some where they fit even better. And I wanted to highlight some Thracia units here. And I like Sarah a lot. The other Sarah, this Sarah. Yes, this is Sarah from Fire Emblem Thracia 776.
Yes.
She is really interesting. She is Manfrey, the big bad Loptus Cole dude's daughter. Manfrey. She is his granddaughter. She has some powers of clairvoyance. It's a little unclear. But she has a little bit of mystic powers, but that's not necessarily why she's interesting. It's just more of a gimmick than anything else. But just as a character, just super fascinating to turn against the cult. Her conversations with Leaf are interesting. Just her as a character is interesting. Her fate, if you don't recruit her, is super sad and tragic because she's one of the dead lords. So her space, and it's awful.
Yep.
And horrifying. Thracia is a game.
Yes,
I
didn't they
won.
just make an alt about that?
They did, yeah. The Fallen Alt. Again, it's under her Deadlord name, so it's very explicitly the Deadlord.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, horrifying, terrifying. So, I mean, there was an interesting conversation about whether the Dwarfs or the Deadlords were terrifying. I was like, honestly, Dwarfs. Like, so the thing about the Deadlords versus the
you are almost incomprehensible. Can you talk a little bit slower, please?
Yeah. So the thing about the morphs versus the Deadlords is the Deadlords are basically corpses puppeted by someone else, which is definitely horrifying. But I think the morphs are worse because the morphs are their bodies, but also their souls.
Yes.
Because they do smile when you kill them, and there's clearly some relief. So yeah, the morphs are an absolute existential nightmare. I mean, I can test my connection, but it should be fine. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. But anyway, that's beside of the point about why I picked Sarah as a character. I picked Sarah because I think she's super interesting and fascinating, and I like her a lot. And this was also a surprisingly competitive one. Obviously, there's the character I mentioned before, but also I really like Mercedes from Three Houses.
Yeah.
And this was definitely competitive, but in the end, I thought Thracia deserved some rep. Yes. And this is before I picked Finn.
You are cutting out a little according to alt. It's leveled out apparently. So
yeah, you might have it worse than Stream does.
Anyways, gameplay wise, of course, Stavs are extremely strong in Thracia.
That too.
Yes.
Not why I picked her at all, though.
Yes, I know. So
she does have wrath, which is funny.
Does have what?
She has wrath, which is really funny because she also has like 0 defense.
Yes.
But you can use her as an enemy unit to kill everything.
Yeah.
Because wrath is broken in that game.
Oops. Hold on.
Speak to me of your staffer, Fume.
Let me just check something. This was also a competitive list for me. I had a first pick and then backed off of them and then went back to them pretty quickly after. It's La Hachelle from the Sacred Stones. She is very funny, but also very interesting and also very relevant and also reasonably useful because she is a mounted staff user, and that is never a bad thing. So yeah, I like her a lot. She has some extremely quotable lines, but also some extremely interesting support lines. And
she's great.
Don't have too much else to say. I think she's wonderful.
Yeah, she's 100% a great pick. She was definitely in the running for me as well. I'm really sad there wasn't. I do wish this list diversified a little because like I would have loved like an infantry staffer and like because they just both have such good representation.
But that's just kind of a limitation of the list. Anyway, so it's my turn next, and it is my turn to make a choice that is probably not in the best interests of character fairness, but I saw the category and was immediately like, I have to pick this person, and I confess it is basically gameplay, even though I do think he is, given the limitations of the game they're in, not a non-entity. It's fucking Ocean. It's Ocean from Thracia 776.
Ocean. Oh, I would have guessed. My guess was Gonzalez.
No, it's Ocean. Now, Ocean is not the most interesting character. He has a relationship with Tanya, and then they implicitly get married after the game, and he's got a, he's kind of got a, red cav dynamic to Halvin's green cav dynamic in terms of being the aggro one. A lot of this is gameplay. Ocean is so fucking good, and he is so important to my Thracia playthrough and a lot of people's Thracia playthroughs that I can't really separate that, even though I know I probably should. And so even though he is not the most interesting and most well-written, most well-rounded fighter character, that could probably go to anybody from Alois to Balthus. Like if I'm counting a brawler, and we had a discussion before the stream, if I'm counting brawlers as fighters, which I should, then and I'm going purely on writing and to an extent on gameplay performance, then Balthus probably wins because Balthus or Alois, because they're both very, very
always
strong
pick
characters.
Bartray.
No,
yeah,
but
it's definitely a Three Houses character. It's kind of always a Three Houses character.
Yeah. But I saw the category and was immediately like, holy shit, the fighter that has had by far the most impact in like my memory of my gameplay is Ocean. He's gotta go. Or Vujax. I have not played Echoes. I have not played the other two Fates routes. Emma has played all of them.
Yeah, I just realized I was about to say that. Yeah, I was about to say that that didn't matter because Echoes doesn't matter for this list, but then I realized I actually should have put someone there, but didn't. But that's okay.
Anyway, so
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Your turn.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of, oops, that's the wrong thing. Speaking of Alois, I didn't like this category. Mostly because, like with Armor Knights, it's a really tough one of units that I was like, I like, but I didn't like enough to pick. And so in the end, I was like, yeah, Alois is funny, bad. He's just got good character energy. Also, you kind of need to tap back into Discord.
Sorry.
You know, he's got good dad energy. He's funny and also makes terrible puns, which I admire. I aspire to make puns that terrible in my life. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say because, like I said, this was just not a category I was feeling super strong about. Bartray would be the funny meme pick, but like I actually don't like Bartray that much. Like he is funny and he's stupid, but he's not that great. Like Hawkeye's mostly gameplay. Garrett and Gonzalez are definitely interesting. A lot I could have picked them. So yeah, there was just no real clear winner. And so ultimately I was just like, yeah, whatever. I just need to make a decision. And that brings us to Mage. So I did say I wasn't picking Lords or anything, but Sanaki is not, actually. I believe Sanaki just really is a Mage. I don't think she has a... Yeah, Sanaki does not have a unique class. And therefore, my mind immediately, like the neuron activated when I saw it. So just like how Fume saw a fighter and was like, Vooge, I was like, my neurons activated. I was like, Sanaki. And then like 30 seconds later, I was like, wait, Pen. Because I mean, Pen. He's really fucking good. Not just as like a unit, but as a character. But no, Sanaki I think has just truly amazing character writing. Like I said, I do enjoy a bit of in my characters. And oh my god, is the entire last chapter, like the last like 7 maps.
It's just more. Kicking.
No, it's like the last 10 maps of Radiant Dawn are literally just like murdering Sanaki over and over and then just kicking her while she's down repeatedly. And it is phenomenal writing. Like rest in peace, Sanaki. That's horrible for you. But also just phenomenal writing and character development and just everything. And her interactions with like Naysala and her guards and the Senate and Sephiran are they're just so, and like the literal god who's the opposite of who she worships, just they're all so good. And also she's left ruling over the remains of the Senate and only Oliver is around, which like Oof. Rest in peace, girl. Like your life sucks. Yeah.
Also, she's got her sister.
Great. I mean, yeah, but like her sister's Micaiah. Like, had a better sister.
Yes, great.
She's got Tanith and Sigrun. That's who she had.
Yes.
But moving on, this character is phenomenal. And yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, before I will say that as well, she is... Okay, hold on. Let me check my...
No, she's a child. She's like 13 or something.
Also, I'm going to remind you, Adept Meteor. Very funny.
Yeah, no, Sanaki, I mean, as a unit, Sanaki is pretty fun to train. But she's not necessarily good by any means.
Yes.
You do have to work for it.
Okay. Ask a question about Micaiah. We'll try to answer it succinctly. But anyway, so I actually had a character here.
I'll answer it in chat while you talk.
Yes. I had a character here that I realized much later. I accidentally put again later in the list, so I have to change that character now. And there's a lot of strong candidates. Not Sanaki was not one of them, I will tell you. And this is not a point against her. It's just a point.
No.
And I'm actually still kind of balancing in my head. I want to kind of put Pent because he's the fucking goat, and he is also really, really interesting. I want to put Soren because he's just a really interesting character, as well. And even though his gameplay suffers in Radiant Dawn, that's fine. I want to put Sed because I think Sed is a very, very interesting character and a very strong one. Lewin could count too, actually, and that's making me think I should maybe put. And the last kind of person I'm thinking about is, I guess, Hannah. The problem is that. Let me take a look at my list. I'm gonna go ahead and go with my gut and say Sed, because let me go ahead and get that up. I do think Sed is a very interesting. No, sorry. No. I think it's got to be Lewin. He's such a fucking mess.
Who?
Lewin. It's got to be Lewin. Lewin. He's such a fucking. Oh.
Lewin is definitely a pretty good mage pick. Yeah, no, he is a hot.
Like, he's such a fucking mess, but he's also so fucking good. And
I was also gonna say, oh, never mind. You chose Gen 1 Lewin. I was like, I see you chose Gen 2 Lewin for maximum mess, but yeah, fair enough. Gen 1 Lewin.
Well, I mean, he's not.
I know you're counting both, but I meant like for the sprite.
Yes. And to answer your question, Emmett pretty much answered that. Yeah, I'm gonna put Lewin. I'm still second guessing it. This is a very floaty pick for me. He's one of the most complicated fucking characters in the series. Okay, maybe that's a little exaggerating. He's very.
It depends how you want to count Gen 2 Lewin.
Yeah, it depends. Like, is he Forseti's meat puppet, kind of?
Well, I think he explicitly is, but no, he signed a pact essentially. But yeah, I mean that's getting into the weeds. But that is part of what makes him interesting.
I think this is a toss-up ish for me between Lewin, let me pull it back up. Shit, I deleted it by accident.
Lewin, Sed, and Pent.
Lewin, Sed, and Pent, and Soren, I think.
Soren's not a bad pick.
I don't want to just make this Tellius.
I mean, Tellius has some really good characters. Like, I tend towards GBAFE, but like Tellius has insanely strong characters, much like Housen.
Yeah, I'm really okay. I'm feeling like I can't stick with this. He's very no. I'm gonna stick with my guns. I think. No, I'm sorry. I can't. I need to change this. It's Soren. I'm sorry. I think that Lewin it's extremely close between Soren, Lewin, Pent, and Sed. And I do think that overall, if I consider characters that I think about more in the past, like in passing, then it is Soren. I think yes, there's this whole thing with. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, I think Soren's biggest problem is that you probably aren't going to actually get most of it. Like, you are gonna have to look it up or something, because the requirements to actually get all of Soren's character and like everything about him is obscene. And so again, this is more just in the weeds. Like, I think Soren's a great pick. It's more just like in the weeds of if you're like just playing the game, you're gonna know everything to know about like Sed and Lewin and Pent. Whereas like if you're playing the game, you're gonna be like, holy shit.
You cut out completely. You said like, you said you cut out like, but for after you said
I basically No, I basically said that, like, unlike the others, to get all the info, like, you'll be like, oh, he's Ike's advisor, he's, this grumpy guy, but, like, you're not going to get the oh holy shit moment unless you do some very obscure things on multiple different
but even if you don't do that, he's still a very interesting character.
Well, yeah, no, like I said, I don't hold it against him either because he is part of the character, and I would consider it.
My father is calling me. Hold on a second.
That's okay. I will talk more about Soren, I guess. Basically, what I mean is typically units are pretty transparent about what they get, right? Like, you get supports, and so you build supports, and you get, a result. Or, you just, talk in the story. So Soren, where to begin? Let's just Google it, because it's kind of hard to, just explain without explaining why this is so just batshit insane. So here we go. There are second playthrough events. And in order to get Soren scenes, okay, so this is for FE10. You have to play through the entirety of FE9, and you have to transfer over an Ike and Soren A support. Then you have to get an Ike Soren A support into Radiant Dawn, so you have to build that. You have to bring Soren to the final map, which is, fair enough. You have to recruit Leron, which is its own insane thing. And then finally you get a Soren. But there's more. Soren has to fight Micaiah in Chapter 7. Then you have to fight Peleus in Part 3 final. And then you get... And so also those are their own convoluted things. So let's tell you how to get... So again, this is something you can only do on a second play. So in order to recruit Leron, for example, which is part of what you need to do for his base convo, Ike and the Black Knight have to fight each other.
I am back, and I see you are explaining all of this shit.
I was explaining why getting this for Soren is so insane, because you have to fulfill several convoluted needs. But now that you're back, we can simply move on, because I have read the wiki. Well, not wiki, but Serenus Forest, and I have explained it.
Looks like the stream chat is not updating. There it is. Yeah, okay, it wasn't for a second, I guess. Don't you also need to transfer an Ike Soren A support from Path of Radiance into Radiant Dawn to get this?
I mentioned that as well.
Okay.
So, no, go ahead.
So, Pegasus Knight. This is where I think I may have trespassed. I'm going to put Alencia here.
Yeah, I do feel that's cheating, and I deliberately didn't put her, in fact, and I had a much tougher time because of it.
Okay, then I will remove her.
Please pick her, because you are not me, and you are not Behold.
Okay, well,
I will say her class is Queen, though.
Okay, then if that's the case, then I will change. So this is not that difficult for me, because I have another pick that I can make quite quickly. It is Ingrid. I think she is amazing. Just for Alencia, I think that she is just one of the best characters in Teleus, which is a series that already has a sub-series that already has really, really good characters. Gameplay wise, she is a kind of a trainee, but she had. Now I'm thinking about that.
I don't think she's a trainee at all. They all start at level 1. Your entire army, like, depending on who you pick, obviously.
What?
Like Ingrid?
No, I'm talking about Alencia. I'm saying Alencia is.
Oh, Alencia. Sorry.
Like,
okay, Alencia. Yeah, I would say Alencia is a bit of a trainee, but then again,
Alencia is a bit of a trainee.
I would say the trainee of that game is technically Astrid because of Paragon. But yeah, Alencia is definitely in a similar mold to a trainee.
Also on my Astrid. Yeah, so Alencia is just extremely strong character, writing-wise, very good character gameplay-wise. Yes, she requires a bit of investment, but, she is a flying staff user with a PRF sword that, like, has a brave effect. That's The latter is
Yeah, it
not.
kind of sucks in FE9 though.
It kind of sucks in FE9, but it's not nothing, and it's good in FE10. And she's just a very strong unit. Ingrid, I think, just hits a lot of good buttons for me. Yes, I am also very attracted to her. But
Yeah, I like Ingrid too.
I think she is a very good. Not that she's not a deconstruction. She's a very good representation, without shying too much away from it, of some of the challenges that the Fodlan setting can create for women in a martial society, while also putting her, especially in contrast with characters like Felix and Sylvain and Dimitri and Adu, in like really having to interrogate the kind of knightly fantasy that she wants to live and the sacrifices that she does have to make to try to keep it, or the decisions that she sometimes makes to not pursue it. And
Yeah,
I think
her support with Catherine is phenomenal.
it's all very good, and I think it's a really good. And like I literally wrote a giant ass Twitter thread right after I finished my medieval studies dissertation on knighthood about how Ingrid represents some of the texts that I was studying. I think she's very good. Gameplay wise, like her strength growth is a little low, which is not unique among Pegasus Knights. It is a little unique among the relatively inflated growths in Three Houses, but it's not unsalvageable, and she is also the only native Pegasus Knight in Three Houses, which gives her an important advantage. So she's still going to be very useful for mage killing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Ingrid actually was very close to being mine. As this was another one I had. Like you, I was like, yeah, bam, easy. Would have been Alencia. Unfortunately, though, I was like, with my Lord rule, I was like, her class really is not Pegasus. I cannot choose Alencia. However, I did pick a character whose class is Pegasus Knight, and they're kind of a Lord, though.
I mean, and she is a queen too, but yes,
she is a queen eventually. Technically, but Sita, this was another one where I was like going through all the in my head, and I'm like, yeah, the GBA ones are kind of meh to me. Like the White Wings, the White Wings have never done it for me. Like they're okay, but they're not great. Marsha was good. I really like Marsha, definitely in the running. Again, Ingrid was phenomenal. I did think about picking Ingrid because she's but also, like I said, I do want to represent some other series here. And I was like, hey, I didn't, at this point of doing this list, I didn't have a Shadow Dragon rep. And I was like, you know what? Like, sure, Sita's great. I really like how she supports Marth. Some of her recruitments are really funny. It is wild that she has a relationship with Marth and like catfishes everyone. Sita isn't a Lord. No, Sita is always a Pegasus. She is never a Lord. The only Lord in Fire Emblem 1 and 3 is Marth.
Yes. Okay,
there's some other unique classes, Anarchy and Shane, but no, Sita is very much a Pegasus. You do...
So, I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Oh. She also, like Ingrid, has no strength growth, but that doesn't matter when you have the wing spear, and you can forge the wing spear, and you can kill like 90% of the enemies in Shadow because they're halves or armor knight, and then they just melt when you look funny with the wing spear.
You're breaking up again.
Yeah, I figured. But yeah, I don't actually have much to say about Sita that I haven't already said. Just a nice unit, and honestly, she feels very like quintessential sort of Pegasus Knight FE archetype trope. A lot of Pegasus Knights that come after her, I feel, match her energy. She definitely is the start of like an archetype in many ways, and that's great too. Let's see who's next. I forget. Let's find out. Oh yeah, Mercenary. This was one that I had a lot of difficulty deciding on. There were a lot of options, and none that I felt extremely attracted to. Like I like Harkin a lot. I like Deke. I like Echidna. Again, those lords, those classes, not lords, sorry, those units in the GBA FE are good. But in the end, I was like, again, Shadow Dragon kind of needs some more rep. And so I picked Ogma because I do like Ogma a lot. I think this is one of the rare cases where I think he kind of does something in a unit, something better than it's rare. because a lot of games build and improve upon tropes and characters from earlier games. So Deke, I think, actually mirrors Ogma a lot and is very similar, and is also a really good character. But I think Ogma just does it a little bit, so I actually picked him. Now, this is when I said earlier that Shadows of Valentia doesn't matter, and I was mistaken. If I had remembered earlier, I probably would have Saber. I really like Saber.
I was going to say, looking... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I really like Saber. Saber, I don't love... I'm very ambivalent on most of the cast in Echoes, honestly. Like, they're okay or above average to me. None of them I'm like, shit, this is great. Saber is one of those few units where I'm like, damn, I really like Saber.
Let's move on. That's all right.
Yeah, but between him and Ogma, it definitely would have been close. So I'm definitely not disappointed in picking.
Yeah. So, I will say I currently, this might be a bit of a spoiler, I currently do not have a Shadow Dragon or a New Mystery representative on my list, because I was a little less concerned with getting representation of the whole series and more just, picking them.
Yeah, I'm more used to it as a tiebreaker than as like trying to do it actively.
Yeah, I have Deke. I have Deke. I think he's a very, I think I like him for a lot of the same reasons you like Ogma, but I just think he does them all a little bit more, which for you wasn't a deal breaker, and for me was, but that's okay. I think he's...
Well, I think the opposite. I think you and I disagree here, but which is fine, to be clear.
I like his relationship with the Reglay family. I like his foil with the other mercenaries in his company. I like... He's a good unit. I enjoy him. I think that he is a really... I think he does his job well. All right, now Myrmidon. There's a lot of fucking Myrmidons in the games. And this is one that I also had an initial immediate response that I'm like, I want to pick this guy, and then I double guessed for a little bit, put someone else there, and then I went with this person again. This one might be you might not, I don't know if you'll agree with this. I am putting Shaynan, the actual Shaynan, not Shaynam.
No, he's good. As we talked about earlier, he was in my top 4 when I was trying to decide.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree.
I like him. It's similar to Finn. He is in both generations, although he's not playable in the first generation. But you do see a decent amount of him in the story, and then to see him kind of come back, having grown up, and come into his own, and being very strong, even though you have that fucking section at the start before you actually have Balmung, which is, and then is a little.
Well, you get Balmung immediately. That's kind of the only way you can survive.
True, but like that section with him right after you get Balmung is a little but he's yes, he is not a mounted unit, which in Genealogy of the Holy War makes him, I'm not going to say on the lower end of the power scale, but it is a big point against him. But he's still very strong, but I also just like seeing him having grown up, kind of taken up Ira's mantle in a way, and sort of serving as a bit of a mentor to his cousins? Yeah, his cousins, Larcy and Skaha.
Yeah. No, he's a great pick, for sure.
So yeah, I like him a lot. Also, have you seen his heroes art? Dude has fucking anvils for pecs. It's hilarious.
No, I mean, he's a great pick.
Yeah. Ira is another really good pick, actually. Yeah. I might have picked her if not.
I wouldn't. I like Ira a lot, but I think so. Yeah, let's talk about my pick. I had 4. Few and I were actually talking about this earlier because the ones I filled because it was challenging, and then in the end I got it down to about 4 units. Shannon was one. Catherine from 3 Houses was another. I think phenomenal unit. Who was the other one? Someone else was on that list.
Stefan.
And of course, the one I actually chose.
Stefan.
No, that was just more than me. Oh, Stefan. Yeah, Stefan. But I nixed him pretty early on. And then finally, the one, FE6 Corel.
That is FE7 Corel.
I meant. Yeah, so it is. Anyway, doesn't really matter though because it's Corel. what makes him interesting is the shift, the nuance from FE6 to FE7, or vice versa, rather, FE7 to FE6. And how he just become this like benevolent, peace-loving guru when he was like, I will kill everyone who walks in front of me, like,
it's like
15
like
prior.
Fucking Sekiro on the Shura ending becomes Sekiro on the Dragon's Return ending. And yes, I know you don't understand what that means. I know you don't understand what that means, but Axor does, and I think it's very funny.
But yeah, no, and honestly, especially in FE7, his supports are like not bad, but they're not really that good either. But
he has an interesting one with Lucius.
Yeah, no, he has some okay ones, but they're not amazing. But it is the FE6 ones where it's like hearing him be like a Zen monk is actually just really interesting. Like he's like his support with Fur, especially on like the meeting of strength, is amazing. Yeah. His just support with Bartray about being wholesome, like he just has some great supports, and good unit. I don't have too much to say, and we won't it too long. Let's move. This was another challenging-ish one. There are a lot of pretty good thieves in the series. Actually, I'm going to rescind that. There's not that many good thieves in the series. There's a couple, and there's a lot in 3 houses who could definitely count, like Yuri, for example. But I didn't pick Yuri. I, in fact, picked this badass, an assassin. I picked Jafar. Legault was also up there. Honestly, Legault is a character. But for me, and the reason why I picked Jafar is viscerally, like, again, it's kind of the Black Knight thing. So as I mentioned earlier, I love the Black Knight in gameplay, menacing dude, and like he's invincible, and he's such a challenge for the player. But I was like, wait, but that actually contributes. So Jafar has similar energy, right? He shows up, insta-kills someone. He's got lethality, which is an insta-kill, very flashy crit and art animations. And overall, like, he basically... he doesn't kill Elbert, but he does recapture him. Like, very menacing.
He does kill Light.
Yeah,
he does kill.
Yes, but he does also like show up behind, which is the scene I was referring to there. But this actually works in Jafar's favor. Like, this is to build up this character as like this cruel and absolutely ruthless person who then becomes part of your army because of Nino. And it's all in service to Jafar and his own character development about how he changes and suddenly finds a heart. And it's actually very interesting. And again, not just for gameplay, but it works to service him as a character in the story. Makes him just a really interesting character. Like, there's not necessarily anything too complex going on. And it's honestly a pretty like played out story in general. It's not unique to him. But it just does it very well. And I think it's done well. And the thief line honestly was really not that competitive for me. This was just another one kind of like with Shinon and with Seth, where my neurons were just immediately activated, and I was like, this guy.
Yeah.
And so there you have it, Jafar.
Yeah. I went ahead. Let me go ahead. I went ahead and picked the other one from Blazing Blade. Well, no, that's not true. Matthew was there too.
I know you. Yeah, no, look all.
Matthew is very. Matthew is also a close contender. Volk is almost there for sheer awesome, but he is unfortunately kind of an enigma. But Legault is sorry.
No, I was like, yeah, no. Volk is amazing, but he's not. He's more of like
he's not that
thing than a character.
Legault is a lot. Legault is interesting because he is kind of like Jafar, having already gone through a lot of that development. And to a lesser extent, like he wasn't like wild mass killer, although he did do killing, but he is a guy who was living a similar-ish life to Jafar and has made the decision to move on and kind of made that decision a while ago, and so does not require a climactic event like Nino's life being threatened to force him to make that. And so a lot of the conversations he has are centered around that kind of ambiguity. And also his support with Heath is very funny.
Yeah. No, Legault is an amazing character. I will say he's not and never has been heartless. He can choose to override that. Like, he is an assassin who can definitely choose to kill his emotions when needed. But unlike Jafar, he always has had.
Yes. So moving on, because I'm trying to be conscious of time. Dancer. Dancer, I'm kind of maybe cheating because their class is not technically Dancer, but they fulfill the exact same function, and so I'm putting them here anyway. I'm putting Racing.
Yeah, I was like, wait,
Race. So I mean, I could have put like Nils because he's not a dancer.
Yeah, no, I Racing and all of the herons. Percent.
Yeah, Racing.
I thought the first thought was actually Lara because we were just talking thieves.
Yeah,
and technically her class is originally thief.
But
yeah, no, Racing's a great pick.
Yeah, that's true, Axor. You are correct. Yeah, no. So Racing is very interesting. I love the idea that, I mean, obviously you find out later he's not the last Heron, but he thinks he is for a while. And so I love the idea that just Racing is of the Heron tribe, which are inherently so pacifistic that they not only cannot inflict physical violence because it hurts them, physically and spiritually, but literally violence around them or in the world around them makes them ill. But he has gotten so built up with anger from living among the Hawk tribe that he acts very much unlike how you would expect somebody who is literally forced to be a pacifist to act. Like, yes, he punches Oliver in the face and it breaks his hand, but he admits it feels good. Like, he is a angry, not so little ball of feathers and blonde hair that is both very funny, but also, very sad, because you get how he got that way, and it's framed against how Leanne behaves with kind of a bit of like a, bit of mischief, but a bit of, much more calmness, and then contrasted even more heavily against Raphael, his older brother, who is like the picture of a completely pacifistic Heron, which is all the more tragic because he can no longer fly. So and also being a dancer who, even though he can only dance one person at a time, has the greatest freedom of movement and such of the three Herons, is obviously extremely useful. So that's Racing.
Well, he can dance for people once he transforms.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yes, he can only dance one person regularly, but he can dance four when he transforms. And yes, you're correct, Axor. But I also think a lot of it is just because he spent so much time around Tabar.
It is actually explicitly that. Like, there is, I can't remember what support is, but one of them, I think it might be even a convo, where it explicitly mentions that, like, part of the way he acts is because he admires Tabarn. So, like, he tried eating meat once or something. And it was explicitly attributed. Yeah, it was explicitly attributed to Tabarn.
Yeah.
Emulating his behavior.
Yes. Now, I think that they're not mutually exclusive. One feeds into the other, but yes. Anyways, so your pick.
Oh, my pick? All right. Yeah, Dancer was hard. There's a lot of really good ones. Lara, who I mentioned earlier, definitely there. The Herons
it's 120. Can we get to it, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Herons are all phenomenal. Genealogy has some good ones. GBA Bias went out, and I picked Ninian.
Ninian's very good.
Why did I pick Ninian? I like Ninian. She's adorable. She's sweet. Her supports with Eliwood are adorable. Her paired ending and it being probably canon to FE6, great. Yeah, I mean, again, this one definitely is biased. I think there's just a lot of really good dancers, and I picked Ninian. There's not really more to say about that.
And she's a very interesting character. Hell yeah.
And now, oh boy, this one was hard, but not for the reason you might think. I actually didn't think there were good wyverns. I like them as a class. Obviously, they're super, but as characters, I'm sort of mid on a. And originally, so I went from Altena originally because I was like, genealogy, great unit, great character, interesting choices, and leaves to join your army. Then I was like, but Trevant though, and I was like, Trevant's really good, like a really good Viglin, like great antagonist. And then as I was scrolling through, I think 10 something, I saw Hard, and I was like, wait, never mind. Yeah, this man, fucking phenomenal. Like, not just as a unit, because again, like I said, I'm not counting unit, but as a character, this man would set everyone else on this list on fire with one-liners alone. Like, he spends all day sleeping, but that's just so that when he needs to deliver like the greatest one-liner of all time, he's ready. He's just waiting for his chance. Like his battle quotes versus all of the senators, versus Leviel, versus like half of the cast in FE10. Like this boss quotes are just insane. I'm surprised anyone even fights him after that. Like he's already killed them. Like what are they gonna do? And yeah, no, just for that, hard. Just look at him. He's great.
Very, very reasonable. So I did. Sorry, is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
So I did make the same calculation you did.
I don't have more to say.
I made the same calculation you did, except I chose to stay with Altana. I do think she is I think she's a really interesting character. Really ties into Leaf's story well. Really helps fulfill Finn's arc. Is very strong, and I greatly enjoy her. There are some other good picks. Har is another high one. Jill herself is a very good one. Minerva, I think she's gone down in my estimation a little bit, but she's still very good. So
it is kind of regrettable she ends up being a damsel in distress, but like on the one hand, not great, but on the other hand, yeah, McAllister does kick serious ass, so also fair.
All right, so Dark Mage. So this is a bit of an awkward spot for me. Emmett did not pick one that he thought was obvious because he thought I was going to pick that one, but then I did not. I did not pick that one, so it has become weird. I am going to have my first representative from a game here. First representative from a game that has not been here yet. I'm putting Henry. I really like that the just extreme contrast between him being a dark mage who with like creepy, weird, awful powers, and also like literally the bubbliest guy that you'll ever meet, but he's bubbly about extremely dark shit. It just tickles me in a really funny way. Now, this was my immediate choice, and having thought about the character that Emmett is probably going to have swapped to, I will have said that I would have probably put them instead if I had remembered, but I was tired when I made this list initially, and even though I'm swapping out some of my characters, I'm not going to swap out this one because this was just the immediate click for me.
Yeah. So as usual, what is important about this is that I am right. Jokes aside, I thought Fume was going to pick Sophia because I just didn't want to pick the same one. I like Sophia's character. She's great. Terrible unit, but that's fine. However, if I was going to actually pick a character, and I did pivot when Fume told me he didn't pick, this Nime. There is no one better than this Dark Mage. This old woman, insane. Like, her supports, her conversations, her, like, just as a character, just everything. This unit's great. Like, I love, like, just savage old grandma. Just possibly great grandma. Great grandma. Honestly, no one knows how old Nime is. Kind of insane. This unit, just phenomenal. Yeah. So Nime is the objectively decision. I just want you all to know that. And we can move on now.
Absolutely amazing gameplay unit, of course.
Yeah, no, that too. I mean, but just nice and out of the box. Not a powerhouse by any means, but does everything you need it to do with both A rank and dark, which is super useful.
Right. Next up, trainee.
All right. Trainee. I don't like most of the trainees in the series. Most games kind of don't have them, and I was trying to be strict about like what constitutes a trainee. So I was like Cyril, John, Mozu, the three in this game, and I was like, that's kind of where the list. Donald, and I was like, that's kind of where the list sort of ends. Like, yeah, you could argue some characters are like sort of trainees, like, but I'm like, that's not a trainee. I'm like explicitly like trainee. And of those them, I don't love all of them. They're all kind of meh. I mean, some of them are better than others. But Amelia is a good character. And also probably one of the worst ones. Like this, as a unit, Amelia just really is terrible. And that endears her to me. Yes. And also I love her supports with like Dusel, again, starting as a citizen of Grotto and like defecting to Erica's side or Ephraim's side is great. Just kind of an adorable little child who somehow was in a war and just should not be there. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say. But of the ones, I had to make a choice.
Yeah. Sorry, are you done? You cut out.
Yeah.
Trainee means trainee means a character that usually has low base stats, but sometimes high growths. And often has a class, like they have a subclass level below usually the baseline level 1 classes that give them usually an extra 10 or so levels in order to get more stats and grow. So
it's more, yeah. So that's what it was in FE8. In Awakening and Fates, it is also that starting in Villager, but you also basically get Aptitude, which gives you both bonuses to your growths. Then in Houses and in Engage, you start in a normal class. So Cyril and Jean do not have a lower tier class, but they do have Aptitude as a personal skill, and thus are considered trainees.
Yeah.
Actually.
So with that said,
a little bit.
You're probably going to tell me my pick is not allowed, and I will be happy to change it immediately if that's the case. My initial pick was Leaf, specifically from Genealogy of the Holy War, because he is one of the strongest examples of a character who is very hard to use until he promotes, at which point he becomes one of the best units in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I personally would consider him a trainee. Like I said, I was very strict in my criteria. I think I would actually agree with you that Alencia is probably more of a trainee than he is. Although, again, it's kind of a, like, what's an est, what's a trainee? If you feel he is a trainee...
Well, because Alencia... Well, okay, you know what? I have another spot for Alencia on this list now because we have moved so much around, so I will allow Leaf to stay here. So, moving on then to...
but yeah, your list.
Leaf, very interesting. He's a lord in his own right, in his own game. He's basically a like tertiary protagonist in Genealogy, in Genealogy Gen 2, and he is an extremely strong example of trainee in the sense that if you give him investment, he pops the fuck off. But
yeah, I don't know if that's a good example of trainee because, like, realistically speaking, like Amelia kind of just averages out.
I mean, if I don't pick him, it's Donald. Donald's just a farm boy. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say Donald's really, Donald and Mozu are really dominant. Like Cyril kind of doesn't. Ross is good because he's just one of your only berserkers, but like his stats themselves are kind of ass. Ewan is kind of the same. Like your other mages are better, but like Summoner go Burr. Amelia definitely is worse than your other Cav.
Or you can put her in general, like us.
Yeah, Donald is disgustingly good, 100%. But so is most people in Awakening, but he is disgusting.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to...
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say trainees become good. I would definitely object to that. You would like them to become good.
Then...
They sadly do not. But no, again, keep Leaf. Like, it is your list. If you want to put Leaf there, keep him there.
I will put him there for now. So next up we have Shifter, and I'm a little confused about this because I think that this can also count, like Racing could also count as a Shifter. But in the
I think it's probably Shane plus Laguz.
Yeah. So
I guess
I am going to put Nyla. Kanigas is a very close second. He is both a very interesting character and very, very powerful. But Nyla is the same. But Nyla is the same, but she has a little bit more presence in Radiant Dawn, even though she doesn't exist in Path of Radiance, which kind of evens it out. I like her dynamic with Raphael, and I like that she fucking helps, along with the Black Knight, helps this downgrade feel less horrible to play in the last...
Ooh, Invincible Jagans.
Yeah. And I think she's a reasonably interesting character. She's not my favorite character in Radiant Dawn. She's not even my favorite Laguz Royal. I think that is still Kanigas. Or actually, I like all of them, but yeah.
I was gonna say if it's Kanigas, wouldn't Kanigas be in this spot then?
Well, yeah, but you get to use. I like her, prefer her a little bit more gameplay wise. Although I guess we did use Kanigas in the tower, but I am gonna leave her here because I like her. Just a vibe.
Fair enough. No, I mean,
Kanigas is very close, though.
Yeah, Kanigas was close for mine, too. Honestly, the Laguz Royals, as you mentioned, extremely strong.
I immediately realized who you're going to put, so go ahead. Do it.
Yeah. I chose not to consider Dragon, because although you shift into category cheating. Nesala, phenomenal. Kanigas as well, but I picked Tabar. I really like Tabar. Great, as a gameplay, great. As a unit, I love his character. He gets a lot of voice lines. It was probably going to be between him and Nesala. I love Kanigas, but Nesala's smarmy piece of shit, ass versus Tabarn's absolute badassery. It's going to be one of the two. And honestly, just in the end, Tabarn is so good, man. He doesn't quite have the players that Har has. He's got some great lines. He's got some great action. Dude just radiates aura wherever he. And thus Tabarn. And why I didn't pick dragons is because that is our
next category.
And there actually were a lot. There were a lot here. I like Faye a lot. She's adorable. I didn't have to worry about Ninian because I put answer, but Ninian's great as well. Also technically half dragon, so sort of. Adun as a final enemy is great. She doesn't have a lot going though. And in Engage, honestly, Vale is one of the few characters who's truly well written and really interesting and great. I didn't pick any of them though. I picked someone who's really and just funny. Bam, Alir. This is a dragon, I'll have you know. So yes, they are, but they are also a dragon. And thus they go here because they are stupid and adorable and just there is no thought going on in their head, and I find that greatly endearing. There are probably better dragons. Actually, no, scratch that. There are definitely better. But I like this one because this one is just dumb, and that is amazing. This creature, this absolutely silly creature, is just phenomenal.
Interesting.
Again, this is one I'm kind of I'm iffy on. I definitely think there are better characters, but just you should like Alir. They're so dumb. They're so great. I like this character a lot. They're just silly. And I needed something I can't always be picking the super dark, depressing characters. Har and Tabarn and Mime and Sanaki and Edelgard's. Not everyone grim. Or Sarah, which is also depressing. Jafar, exactly. Let's pick the idiot. And I say that again, that's idiot parentheses affectionate. This unit is hilarious. I don't know if any of you have followed the Heroes Day in the Life comics, but Alir only has a and it's just them smiling, complete dumbass. It is amazing. This unit is phenomenal. With that, I will turn it back to Fume because I just don't. I'm just saying the same thing over and over, but man, is it.
You are also cutting out a little more because you're talking a little louder and faster.
Tragic. Probably because I'm drinking more.
This is a pretty easy one for me. I put Tiki.
Tiki was definitely in the running.
Awakening Tiki specifically, both because that's the only one she's an adult, but also because I just think that is an interesting incarnation of her. Interesting character, is in multiple games, usually has a combination of funny supports and interesting supports. In this game, it's mostly interesting ones. Good unit, and just, not much to say. She's important and she's good. I am now going to, this next category is just special, and this is where I'm going to put Alencia, because she
honestly fair. what?
Okay, yes. I was just catching up with chat. Is chat still updating?
Just me hating on Corin, the usual.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it up though, just in my defense.
So Alencia is a lot of things. I've already talked about them. She is in multiple categories on this list. So moving on, what's your pick?
Oh boy, this is actually going to be great. Don't worry, you don't have to talk about Alencia because bam.
Yeah, wow, that's great. Awesome. Amazing. All right.
Yeah, special I interpreted as special class. Again, I didn't necessarily want to pick lords, but Alencia is not, strictly speaking, a lord. She's not Ike, she's not Eliwood, she's not Hector. She is Queen of Crimea. She does serve as the game over condition in Radiant Dawn, and she is one in Path of Radiant. She's really not a lord character. And we've touched upon why Alencia is a character, and so we can honestly kind of just move on. I don't remember what this class is. Oh, it's antagonist. Hello, Trevant. I mentioned Trevant before, and there are a lot of really good antagonists in Fire Emblem. Arvis definitely could have belonged here. He's a phenomenal well. If I was feeling really spicy, I put Edelgard as well, just because she wanted to be somewhere on this list. But that felt a little too spicy. Also, I actually, like I was mentioning with Fume, I do think there's something interesting. Interesting because she's both. So it didn't feel right for that anyway, and I never really considered it. But I love Trevant. And so this is another one where it's kind of unfair. Part of it is the FE4. I have read, at least what I could find translated, the FE4 manga. Trevant has a... Oh boy, he's got a spicy arc in that one. Trevant loses his vision at one point and ends up getting saved by Ethelyn, of all people, who does know who he is, because she is not blind. He is fucking blind at that point. Obviously, of course, he later does kill Ethelyn and has a lot of thoughts about it because he fell in love with her. And it's... Yeah, no, this manga's fucked up. But also...
Yeah.
Again, see the Lachesis scene. That all aside, though, Trevant in Genealogy is a really
You
great
are cutting
antagonist.
out really bad.
All right, I will try to slow down. Yeah, so he is very interesting because he's very introspective. He's not just a simple evil villain. Trevant has a goal. Trevant wants to make Thracia essentially livable. He wants to make it habitable. And that's kind of why he's waging war on the north, which is fertile and has farmland, and the south is kind of fucked. But he also knows there has to be a bad guy. Even when Arian and turn on him, he's not, like, he's mad and he punishes them, but it's kind of half-assed. And you can tell that, like, he's really not intending to hurt either of them that much. Also, he saves Altena, who is, like, his nemesis's child. Like, there's no reason for him to do that at all. And she can wield the Holy Blood weapon. Like, there is zero logical reason for him to not. But he doesn't. Because, again, he's a very interesting new and not actually necessarily evil. And even when, like, Arian is like, no, we can't, you know, he's like, they're not the same as, like, Quan and his father. Trevant's like, no, someone's got to die, and it's gonna be me. Also, here, take this weapon so that I'm just gonna use a... like, so interesting.
I did take a quick listen to the stream. It does sound like you're not cutting out as badly there, but yes.
Yeah. No, I'll try to talk slower.
The one thing is, I think you did make a... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it is maybe more on your end than I will try to talk slower.
Yes, I think you are correct. Although it's interesting that this has persisted across multiple, like, internets.
I don't know.
Anyways,
I really wish I did. But this was a hard category, but
yeah,
Trevant is really good.
Yes. Minor correction: Orion never really turns against him. Altena's the only one who does.
No, I mean Orion is more open to it and doesn't continue hostilities. He does not join you until much later.
Very sporadic. Please elaborate. Oh, that doesn't specify whether it's happening a lot or not very much for you.
Well, no, sporadic is rarely.
Okay, that's no, you're right. Anyways, I put Arvis. I'm tired, and I would like to try to wrap this up soon. We only have 4 categories left, so I don't want to go too long. But very interesting character, multifaceted. You very good arc. You hate him for what he did to Sigurd, but you also, even though a lot of what he says at the start, kind of with Manfroy, is vague, you do get the sense that he stepped into more than he could manage. And
Arvis is great. As I said, he was in the running for me too.
Very good character. So,
it's Merlinus, right? Surely you love Merlinus.
It's Rhea. It's Rhea. And I'm putting her here because she's not playable. She's only playable like as Saros, like in a post game bonus reward non-canon thing in Three Hopes, and otherwise is just an NPC, much to her detriment.
I feel like I should have expected this, and somehow I didn't. But I feel like I really should have.
What did you expect?
I didn't. That's the thing.
I
I don't. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this too much. You all already know. I think she's a really interesting character. I both sympathize with her and recognize how deeply flawed she is. And I think that she plays a very central role in a really interesting way to Fodlan, no matter what route you're
No, you don't get Rhea mission. It's a paralogue that you get in a, but she's do not get to control her.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Also,
no, exactly
yes. I'll be frank. You know, big booty Dragon Pope makes brain go burn. Yes.
No, like I'm actually shocked I didn't guess this. I have no. I missed Rhea as an NPC. Anyway, yeah. So I put 0 brain cells into this, like actually none, and I picked the because there weren't that many NPCs that were doing it for me, and so I picked Anna. The Anaverse is a thing. I find it hysterical. Like this creature just everywhere. There's billions of them. They're siblings. They're all sisters. How is their mother? There are so many questions. But yeah, no, there's really not much to say other than yeah. This is a unit with it could be anyone. Is it which Anna did I pick? It doesn't matter. They're all Anna except the playable one. They don't count for them. Yeah, no, this just there's really nothing else to say other than that the Anna amazing. So let's just
move on.
Who's the next one? It is support chain. Oh boy, I told you I was going to get around. Did not. So why this support chain? So specifically, the chain in question is the Sarah Hector support. There are 2 supports that fulfill the same criteria that could have been here. They are Sarah Hector and they are Sylvain Mercedes. And while their Sylvain Mercedes line does have the amazing crest base line, and I give it points for that, it didn't win in the end. So why these 2 supports? So these are the 2 supports that, for me, basically completely upended a character. I chose them because before reading these supports, I did not like this character. So in the case of Sarah, I didn't like Sarah. I was like, this is an annoying, bratty creature. Like, what is this thing? Why do I have to be subjected to this? Like, fuck off somewhere. And for Sylvain, it was like, okay, here's the type. Yeah, please stop sexually. What their supports do, I was like, wait, actually, though, I'm a fan of this character. Obviously, Sylvain and Mercedes support is not unique. He does dive into the crest thing with a couple others, but it's really with Mercedes where he gets deep into the like, this is my problem with crests and why my whole life is basically this way. Sarah's is the same. In Sarah's support with Hector, it's basically revealed that she's an orphan and grew up in a kind of shitty orphanage, honestly. And basically, in order to maintain any semblance of sanity, Sarah created a lie for herself that her parents are Etrurian nobility and that they are coming back. And that kind of makes everything click. The way Sarah acts is a performative idea of what Etrurian nobility is. And it's honestly worked. FE7, which came out after FE6, sees Clarine. So Clarine in FE6 acts very similar. And of course is genuinely Etrurian nobility. She is the child of Pent and Luis, who are counts and former mage general. So basically, that's exactly what Sarah's emulating. And you can see it. Like, every way she acts, all of that suddenly makes perfect sense. And you're like, oh, this is not just this person being a brat. This is this character's survival mechanism so they don't like become depressed and suicidal in a shitty image. And that just makes them so much more interesting as a character. And thus, I pick the Sarah Hector support.
Yes, good. Well, yes. I am not going to go into that because I'm tired. Yeah, no, very, very, very reasonable, and I agree. Mine is a lot simpler, at least because I am too tired to really talk about it right now. It is Dorothea and Ferdinand. It is the root of my favorite ship in the series. I have written so much fucking porn of them. But also, even if you... Even if you ignore that, I do think it's a really well
I was going to say
executed.
you and everyone else.
Yes. I think it's a really well executed dynamic, both in Three Houses and Three Hopes. Three Hopes adds a funnier twist to it, but it's still there. Um, I enjoy it a lot. I think it is a really good way to dissect both of their characters in a number of fashions. Honestly, there's so many that I could put here, but I just was like, I like my ship. I'm putting them here, and that was
Yeah.
that's that.
No, it is.
So
It is an extremely good support.
Next up is character. We did not yes, the babies. Um, to be clear, Vincent, this is not Dorothea specifically. It is Dorothea and Ferdinand, but yes. Um, same with you all.
It's a specific support chain.
Yes. So for character I didn't expect to like, this one was also probably not. I might rethink this when I am not tired, but I'm going to go with my gut at the moment. I'm going to put Tharja, and this is going to be weird. Let me explain.
I mean, fair enough. I just personally still don't like them. More power to you.
Well, let me clarify. I mean, God, now I feel like now I'm second guessing myself.
Why? It's my opinion, not yours.
No, because I still don't know if I like this character, but I expected to dislike them a lot more than I did. So maybe that's still not fair. Basically, I had been exposed to so much like horny Tharja, like whatever stuff from Heroes and like pop culture and such that I was expecting Tharja to be like totally adoring or just that. And she wasn't. She's actually like really weird and insecure and introverted and such. I guess this is less like I didn't expect to like her and more like I didn't expect her to be the way that she is. I still don't know how much I like her, but I
Cough, Robin support, cough.
yeah, no, I know, I agree with you. I might have to put a pin in this and see what you put and see how that makes me change. I mean, I could put Shin on here because I was not expecting to like Shin on as much as I fucking did. But I'm not going to put him in two categories.
I will just say my pick is not going to help start.
All right, then I'm going to go to you and maybe we'll think about mine a little.
All right, let's go with my pick. There's not really a lot of preamble. Felicia. I did not like Fates. I did not like a lot of the Fates cast. I don't think I originally loved Felicia. I didn't hate her. I definitely did not like Felicia as much as I do now at the beginning. And in general, like the whole clumsy maid thing is definitely an archetype I'm super into. Like it's not something it's not like turn off. I don't dislike it either. I'm just sort of ambivalent to it. But yeah, I just really grew to like Felicia a lot. And was one of the highlights of me playing Fates because there were characters I liked in they were few and far between, and some of them I don't like as much now. Like I really originally liked Kaden and Selkie a lot, and now I'm kind of ambivalent on them. But yeah, Felicia, just with her and just character and everything, was just a character that I was like, yeah, this character exists, and obviously, you know, I heal so I'll bring missions, but I don't feel anything. But as I played, and so in my first playthrough, this was not the person I supported was Azura, because I played Birthright, and Birthright doesn't actually tell you anything. So yeah, first cousin incest. Thank you. And I don't remember who it was my second playthrough, but eventually I did. I think Alicia. But that's all to say that this character was definitely not originally very invested. But yeah, as I played more of Fates, I kind of really like this character. They're just adorable and bumbling and like, you know, just very wholesome, which is nice.
I am tempted to put Amelia here, but that would only be for gameplay reasons because I was expecting to hate using her, and I still do, but it was all wrapped back around to being funny, and so I kind of want to put her.
Yeah, that's kind of what Amelia is.
I kind of want to put her here, but I still don't like her as a character.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, it's definitely a hard category because my opinion on changed too much. I mean, Sarah, one, like I just said, Sylvain could have been one. definitely.
Okay, I know who I'm putting.
Oh, all right. Let's go back to you.
Lawrence. I was not expecting to be as into Lawrence as I was, but I do think he's ultimately one of the most interesting characters in Three Houses, or at least a very interesting one. For a lot of the same reasons as Ferdinand is, but he takes it in a very different way, and I think is a lot messier with it than Ferdinand. Whereas Ferdinand's not like perfect, but he is a lot more put together about it.
He's also just less creepy. Like, he doesn't flirt as much as the
Yes. But that being said,
Lorenz is like deep into the Crest Society, whereas Ferdinand's like, no, I will. And Lorenz is like, you must have an excuse.
Yes. So all of that to say, I mean, I did Golden Deer first, so I got more Lawrence exposure than anyone who didn't. But I was initially like off put by both his appearance and his mannerisms. But after multiple playthroughs, because I don't think he even really sunk in with me that much on my first playthrough, although he did get some in. I actually really like him. You know, messy as hell. The dude has issues, but I really like him.
Yeah.
So, anyways, since I started last category, I will let you choose absolute favorite first, even though we ended up. You there? Up. Hello? Hello? Oh, well. Yeah, he has died. His internet, I think, is gone. Because the stream's still up, so it's not me. Yeah, almost the worst.
Sorry, Discord decided to do the thing again.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give me a second. I'll just share again. And I just need to mute my stream audio, which is muted. Select stream. Okay. Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. Discord did the thing again. Anyway. Yeah.
Okay, yes. So explain. I can see now that it is Lynn.
It is Lynn. Not surprising. I've mentioned this before. Lynn is my favorite character. I don't think they're the best character by any means as far as pure writing goes. This has a bit to do with nostalgia. I did play FE7 first. I was horrendously sick with Crohn's disease. It was not a lot of fun, and I had a lot of free time on my hands because I was in the bathroom a lot. We won't elaborate on that. And B, I did take medical leave at some point too, and so I just had a lot of time. And I had a emulator on my phone. Don't tell Nintendo. Uncle Nintendo doesn't like that. And I was like, I need games to play. And I very quickly realized, like, I can't play platformers, right? Like, the emulator with no haptic, like, no feedback. It's got buttons on a screen, because it's on, like, a smartphone. Doesn't work really well. And I was like, all right, so I need, like, games like Pokemon, like turn-based games. So I was looking up. I was on a website. That's definitely not get Fume demonetized here.
I lost track. Why?
ROMs, but but I was like, what are some good turn-based strategy games? And someone was like, and some on the website, like Fire Emblem was popular, and I was like, okay, I've never heard of this game. Like, sure, tell me more. And I was like, turn-based strategy. He's like, okay, I'll give it a try.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, exactly. So I played FE7, and obviously being new to the game, I played Lin mode. And I like Lin mode. I know there are a lot of Lin mode haters out there. And yeah, as far as gameplay goes, boring as shit. It is a tutorial map after tutorial map after tutorial map. It has weather conditions, which are horrible. Yeah. The Lin mode maps.
You are talking about a guy who just got 6 hours added onto his travel, 7 because of weather. So yes, I agree.
Yeah, no, yeah. Lin mode maps are bad, but the story is really good. And even after playing more Fire Emblem, the story of the story of 7, both Lin mode and Eliwood and Hector mode sticks with me. I think it's actually some of the best story writing in Fire Emblem. And I've mentioned this before, and I will not go into the weeds, but I will mention why. And it's because it's not about a world-ending threat. The story of so first of all, the story of Lin mode is about Lin. Like, her parents have died in a bandit attack. She thinks she has no family, and then suddenly she's like, knights show up and are like, actually, you've got this long lost like family, and you've got this uncle. You play Lin. So Lin mode is actually chapter 1. So Lin mode is chapter 1 through 10 or through 11, and then the rest of the game is chapters 11 through like final. So you are very much, and in fact, if you're playing a new game and you have no save or clear data, you have to play Lin mode.
Yeah.
F7 was the first game brought to the West, and so it very much acts as a gateway into the series as a whole.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just speed through the matter at hand because I know Fume wants to go to sleep, which is fair. It's like 1 a.m. for him.
It's 2 a.m.
Also that. Basically, yeah, exactly. It's not even political intrigue. It's just personal relations. Like Lin, especially in Lin mode, is just trying to find her family. Again, it's not a particularly nuanced or original plot, but it gives you a very solid ground for this character, and like also the dichotomy of this character. Like Lin is very, for like a lot of Fire Emblem characters, because again, in FE7, they're not necessarily that complex. But Lin and Eliwood and Hector are fairly complex. She's like this very aggressive, very tomboyish, young woman, but at the same time has some very vulnerable moments, both in her own story and in the main story, that really take you out of that and make you see her more as like a human than just as a character. Whereas most are like, especially again, like GBA and Awakening, where they're like, oh, I'm my archetype and I will play it to the end. Which is fine if you like the archetype, and there are some where I'm like, I like this character and they're only this. But for Lin and the other lords, like that show of vulnerability is phenomenal. And so even after playing other games where it's like, oh, go kill the evil dragon, I still just love FE7. And in all that, even when I replay it, like even now that I've played, Three Houses, the Tellius series, even though I've played those games and read those supports, even when I go back to play FE7 and I play Lin mode and I play like the story and I use Lin and get supports, I'm still like, yeah, no, this is a really good character. Like maybe not the best character, but they're not their worst. They are still a really strong character, and I really like them. So for like nostalgia and their own writing and their own strengths and their own story, and also nostalgia and personal bias, because obviously this is the most biased category, I pick Lin.
Nice, good call. I'm so tired. I'll make this quick. Good choice. Mine is Constance. Again, under no illusions that she is the most complicated character in the series.
Probably should have guessed that.
I am under no illusions that she is the most complicated character in the series. She is not. She's not even the most complicated character in her own game. She's frankly not even the most complicated mage in her own game. And if I'm being triply honest,
to be fair to Three Houses, that is a really high bar to clear.
Yes. To be trebly fair, she's not even the most complicated of the Ashen Wolves. I think that's either Balthus or Yuri. But I think
Yuri, and it's probably Yuri.
I think. No, I don't think it's happy. I don't think it's happy. I think it's one of those guys.
It's definitely Yuri.
But I don't think she's badly written by any stretch of the imagination. I think she's still quite complex. She still has quite a lot of layers. She hits a lot of the notes that I find really enjoyable about Ferdinand, about the Ferdinand Dorothea support chain, about Lawrence. Now that I'm looking at my other faves, she hits a very different angle for the mage than Soren does, but she still hits it. She's like kind of closer to the Lute or the Lysithea style of like, except I'm strong and I'm like, the explorer, experimenting, like, scientifically minded mage, but she has other angles for it, and there's a lot of interesting contrast pulled from, the fact that she Hello, Black Knight? Hmm, hmm, hmm. Uh, hmm. Why do I hear boss music? Are you about to come through the door and like blood runs red and kill Reese? Oh, okay. Anyways, um, remember when that happened to one of my friends? Um, like she has a really interesting dichotomy between the fact that she is trying so hard to be noble and put on a noble affect when, for all practical purposes, she no longer is. But she was until so recently, and there's a lot of mileage to be pulled from that. She does have a lot of the same noblesse oblige elements that are part of Ferdinand and Lawrence's struggles and character. Um, she is, she's got some really funny supports and some really interesting supports, and some that are both. Her kind of sunlight sad personality is one of the things that I think is a bit against her, because with the exception of like
So bad.
two
It's so bad.
with the exception of two supports in Hopes, they basically don't interrogate it and just allow it to be like an awakening style this is my gag thing.
Also
But
weird that no one seems to know it exists. Like even Balth, like there's a support with her and Balthus where like Balthus is like, oh, okay, you're acting kind of weird. I'm like, Balthus, how the
Night
fuck do you
Vincent.
not know about this? Like you of all people, like you and Happy and Yuri should like Yuri and Happy both know about it because they make jokes about it, but like somehow Balthus
Yeah.
doesn't know. Like it's definitely not good writing, which is rare for Three Houses.
Yes, Night Vincent. But the other part of it is that I mostly ignore that when doing my calculation, my judging, which I know is not really fair because it is something they wrote into existence, but it's so inconsequential to everything else that's interesting about her, and it never really like undermines that in the conversations where it doesn't show up, if that makes sense. Like I know that probably doesn't make sense because like of course it doesn't undermine the conversations where it doesn't show up, but like if you look at her character, like she's a fully functional, fleshed out, interesting character with flaws without that. And then I kind of just ignore that otherwise because it's something that just feels like it was written by someone else and doesn't really make sense. Now, I do think the supports that do kind of speak to it a little bit in Three Hopes do add a tiny bit of nuance to it, but it's still an obstacle, I think, to really appreciating her character. On more superficial levels or on other levels, gameplay wise, she is quite useful. She is a little bit lower on the stat end than Lisa Thea in terms of stuff like speed and skill, which is
But
a
you get
little.
bolting.
But she has a fantastic fucking spell list, and it is even better in Three Hopes, where she has an amazing passive. Um, and on a more superficial level, she has, yes, her time skip base game like Three Hopes houses. Her time skip Three Houses design is a little dull, but that's kind of something all of the Ashen Wolves struggle with a little bit. But it's not actively bad still, and I love the hair. But yeah, on a super, I still love her designs overall, and on a super super superficial level, she makes my dick go absolutely fucking nuclear, and I have written and commissioned so much fucking porn of her. So Constance is going in the absolute favorite tier.
Oh, also right, yeah. There's a reason I didn't mention gameplay at all when talking about Lynn. Her gameplay is kind of ass. She's sword locked and then
Yeah,
bow and sword, and it's she's mind you not the worst character in that game. Definitely probably bottom 5, bottom 10. She's not great. Still gonna use her, but like yeah, no, she's not great in terms of gameplay. That's okay, because that's not why I picked her.
yes. Also, I'm trying to. Yeah, so that's the end of the stream. I am tired as balls. Everything hurts. I'm just going to ask if Emmett, you can take a screenshot of yours and send it to me, so we can have
Sure.
it recorded for posterity. Um, and then with that, I will wish everybody a wonderful evening. Um, and we will probably be doing something on Thursday.
Probably.
Whether that something is starting Fates, probably starting the next branch of Fates, or like the prologue of Fates, or maybe another tier list if I want to save that for Saturday night, because Friday night I can't stay up too late, and obviously Thursday is a work day, is going into a work day, so we'll see. So we'll do something. It might be a shorter stream of like maybe a Blazing Blade tier list, or it might be, although that probably will not be too short. Although there's fewer characters than Binding Blade, so we'll see. That being, or maybe another Binding Blade randomizer. We'll have to figure it out. But with that being said, have a good night, everybody. If you're in the United States, I'd say Happy Memorial Day, but that's kind of not really the point. So have a meaningful Memorial Day. And good night.
Good night.